There is a divine synchronization at work in your life right now. While many will pass through this channel, only the true chosen ones will feel a deep resonance with what is about to be revealed today. Take a deep breath, because what I'm about to share will explain that unsettling feeling that has always lived in your heart. The feeling of not fully belonging to your own family. The phenomenon of switched identity is one of the deepest mysteries in the spiritual realm. A hidden truth that few pastors or leaders have the courage to address. Why? Because it unveils a divine strategy so extraordinary that it challenges our limited human understanding. Have you ever wondered why you feel like a stranger in your own home? Why your values, dreams, and sensitivity seem so different from those of your family? Why there's a spiritual chasm between you and those who share your blood? It's not a coincidence. It's not a cosmic error. It's not a flaw in the divine matrix. It is a meticulously orchestrated strategic plan from the heavens. The chosen ones, those appointed for extraordinary purposes in the kingdom, are often born into toxic, oppressive, and even hostile family environments that reject their true identity. This painful contrast is not accidental, but intentional in the economy of heaven. A prophet is not without honor except in his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house. The words of Jesus in Mark 6:4 were not just a casual observation, they were the unveiling of a spiritual principle that governs the journey of the chosen ones. Even the Son of God experienced rejection, disbelief, and misunderstanding from those who should have recognized him first. Think of the biblical stories that confirm this divine pattern. Joseph the dreamer was born into a family where his own brothers tried to kill him and sold him as a slave out of envy for his anointing. David, the future king, was so disregarded by his father that he wasn't even called when the prophet Samuel came looking for the next anointed one of Israel. Moses, the deliverer, grew up as a foreigner in Pharaoh's palace, disconnected from his Hebrew roots. In each case, the switched identity was a foundational part of divine training. This spiritual phenomenon explains that pain you've carried since childhood, that sense of being different, misunderstood, judged for your sensitivity, criticized for your dreams, ridiculed for your faith. While your family spoke of limitations, something inside you shouted about possibilities. While they settled for mediocrity, your spirit longed for the extraordinary. While they remained trapped in cycles of bitterness and resentment, your heart always sought healing and transformation. The galaxies witnessed your birth into that specific family, not as a mistake, but as a strategic launch. The universe makes no errors in its intricate choreography. You were deliberately placed in an environment that seemed to contradict your essence, so your true identity could be forged in the crucible of adversity, not diluted by the comfort of easy acceptance. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. Jeremiah 1:5 reveals that your heavenly identity precedes your earthly family insertion. You are not first and foremost a child of your biological parents. You are first and foremost a child of the Most High, temporarily placed in a bloodline that often does not recognize who you really are. This tension, this friction, this clash between who you are in the spirit and the environment you were placed in is not divine cruelty. It is the catalyst for the awakening of your true identity. The streets are talking about toxic families, abusive relationships, narcissistic parents, but few understand the spiritual dimension behind this phenomenon when it comes to the chosen ones. What the world calls family trauma, heaven often uses as a training ground for leaders, reformers, and agents of transformation. It's not that God approves of the abuse, far from it. But he is extraordinarily skilled at turning what was meant to destroy you into fuel for your elevation. Stay alert, chosen one, because today we're going to uncover why your identity seems switched within your family environment, why you've always felt like an eagle raised among chickens, and how this painful tension is part of a divine plan far greater than you can imagine. Heaven is about to validate that intuition that has always echoed in your heart. You truly are not from this world, and your biological family was only a temporary station, not your true identity. Chosen one, let us dive into the depths of that family pain you've been carrying, that hollow feeling at the dinner table with your own family, that lump in your throat when your ideas were ridiculed by your parents, that crushing loneliness of growing up surrounded by people who share your DNA but seem utterly incapable of grasping the essence of your spirit. The wound of rejection in the very place where there should have been unconditional acceptance. A man's enemies will be those of his own household. These words from Jesus in Matthew 10:36 were not a casual prophecy, but the unveiling of a spiritual pattern that follows the chosen ones. You've experienced this from an early age, when your sensitivity was labeled as weakness, when your creativity was dismissed as a waste of time, when your spirituality was mocked as fanaticism, when your intuition was discarded as nonsense. Your family was supposed to be your first sanctuary, your safe haven, your emotional foundation. Yet, for many chosen ones, the family environment became the first battlefield. It was there you first felt the weight of being misunderstood, the pain of invalidation, the anguish of being treated as a stranger by those who were supposed to know you best. It was there you first asked yourself, why am I so different? Why can't I fit in? Why are my wings clipped before I even get the chance to fly? Think of the toxic attitudes that marked your childhood and teenage years, the belittling comments about your dreams, the deafening silence when you achieve something meaningful, the constant comparisons to others who seem to fit the family mold better, the subtle or blatant criticisms of your appearance, personality, choices, or beliefs. Each of those experiences was like a small stake driven into your heart, challenging the core of your identity. Maybe you grew up with an emotionally unavailable father, unable to express affection or validation, or with a controlling mother who stifled any expression of your individuality. Maybe you faced siblings who persecuted you out of envy for your natural light. Or perhaps you became the family scapegoat, the one who always bore the blame for the household's problems. In some cases, the environment was openly abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally, or even sexually. In others, the poison was more subtle: emotional manipulation, gaslighting, triangulation, passive neglect. The question that has haunted you was always, why me? Why was I born into this particular family if we're so fundamentally different? If there is a loving God, why would he place me in an environment so toxic, so contrary to my essence? This question echoed in your heart during nights of silent tears, during desperate prayers for freedom, during moments of deep confusion about your own identity. The prophet Isaiah declared, "Can a woman forget her nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you." Isaiah 49:15 NKJV. This passage acknowledges a painful reality, that yes, even the maternal bond, considered the holiest of human connections, can fail. Mothers can forget, fathers can abandon, families can reject. You've experienced this hard truth firsthand. Experts in family trauma speak of insecure attachment, when a child doesn't receive the consistent foundation of love, safety, and validation needed for healthy development. For many chosen ones, this was the dominant pattern of their childhood. You learned early on that you couldn't fully trust the very caregivers who were supposed to be your primary source of security. You learned to hide parts of yourself to avoid criticism or rejection. You learned to dim your light so you wouldn't overshadow or threaten those who should have celebrated your potential. This primal wound created patterns that may still linger: difficulty trusting, fear of abandonment, perfectionism as a strategy to earn love, codependency, or extreme isolation. The family that was meant to cradle your identity became, ironically, the first threat to your true essence. The place that should have nurtured your wings became the first cage that tried to clip them. Your family oppressors often acted out of their own unresolved trauma. Your parents projected onto you their own fears, insecurities, and limitations. Your free spirit threatened the self-imposed prisons they lived in. Your natural light exposed the shadows they were trying to deny within themselves. Your spiritual intuition challenged the comfortable lies they built their lives upon. No wonder the tension was inevitable. Eagles were never meant to live in chicken coops. Modern psychology recognizes the concept of the identified patient or scapegoat child, the family member who unconsciously carries the dysfunction of the system. This role is often assigned to the healthiest person in the family, the one with the most potential for change and growth. It's no coincidence that you, chosen one, were often placed in this role. Your clarity was a threat to a system built on denial and dysfunction. While your family seemed comfortable with spiritual and emotional mediocrity, something inside you always cried out for more. While they settled for superficial truths, your spirit craved depth. While they built walls of protection, your heart instinctively built bridges of connection. While they clung to empty traditions, you sought authentic experience. This fundamental dissonance was no accident. It was the first sign of your true identity trying to emerge in an incompatible environment. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? The cry of Psalm 13:1 may have been your own lament for years of silent suffering within a family that seemed incapable of truly seeing you. This anguish, this feeling of divine abandonment in the face of family rejection, was not a sign of God's absence. It was, paradoxically, proof of your condition as a chosen one being forged for a greater purpose. Chosen one, now pay close attention to the deeper revelation. This phenomenon of switched identity is not a cosmic mistake, but a divinely orchestrated strategy. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, strategically placed you in that family environment, not to destroy you, but to trigger a transformation that would have been impossible in more comfortable circumstances. What seemed like cruelty was, in truth, a heavenly investment in your extraordinary destiny. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. Your toxic family was the earthen vessel that unknowingly held a spiritual treasure. This contradiction was not accidental, it was providential. The contrast between your luminous essence and the dark family environment wasn't meant to diminish you, it was meant to reveal you. Now observe the first signs of the turning point, the early evidence that the heavenly strategy has been working perfectly. The family adversity didn't destroy your sensitivity, it deepened it. The constant criticism didn't kill your creativity, it refined it. The absence of external validation didn't extinguish your inner light, it intensified it. The attempts to control you didn't break your spirit, they strengthened it. You are now witnessing the divine fruit of what initially looked like a family tragedy. Modern science, especially epigenetics, confirms what the sacred texts had already revealed. Stress and adversity, when properly processed, can activate dormant genes of resilience and unlock exceptional capacities. Chosen ones often emerge from toxic family environments with heightened sensitivity, extraordinary intuition, supernatural resilience, and deep compassion. Qualities forged, not destroyed, under pressure. "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger" is not just a popular saying. It is a spiritual principle operating in the life of the chosen ones. Your toxic family could not kill who you really are. On the contrary, that adverse environment was the crucible that purified the gold of your true identity. The very circumstances that were meant to limit you ended up unlocking potentials that would have remained dormant in a more comfortable setting. The divine paradox is that you had to first know who you are, not to discover who you truly are. The painful contrast between you and your biological family didn't confuse your identity. It clarified it. Like a star that shines brighter against the night sky, your spiritual essence stood out precisely because of the darkness surrounding it, not despite it. Now think of the specific gifts that were cultivated through that family adversity. Rejection developed your spiritual self-sufficiency. Misunderstanding sharpened your empathy toward others who feel unseen. Constant criticism fortified your inner self-confidence, no longer dependent on external validation. Emotional toxicity refined your ability to establish healthy boundaries. What your family oppressors meant for harm, the universe realigned for your good. The process you're going through has a name in higher spiritual circles: the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell documented how every culture in the world shares this mythological pattern. The hero must first be separated from their familiar environment, endure intense trials, and finally return transformed, bearing gifts for the community. Your family pain wasn't a detour from this journey. It was the necessary catalyst that set it in motion. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. This was the divine whisper in the darkest moments of your childhood and adolescence. When everyone seemed to be against you, when your own family appeared blind to who you truly are, there was an invisible presence sustaining your true self, preventing the family toxicity from corroding your divine essence. The spiritual alchemy is already happening in your life. The very experiences that were supposed to destroy you are being transmuted into pure gold. Rejection is turning into self-acceptance. Abuse is being converted into healthy boundaries. Neglect is translating into deep self-care. Invalidation is transforming into unshakable self-validation. This spiritual chemistry is the clearest evidence that you are truly a chosen one. Your family oppressors are now beginning to feel an unexplainable disturbance. The one they tried to mold into their limited image is emerging with an identity that transcends anything they could ever comprehend. The one they tried to diminish is growing beyond every expectation. The one they rejected is finding acceptance in circles they could never access. The discomfort they feel is no coincidence. It's the reflection of the divine plan unfolding. The phenomenon of switched identity is now beginning to reveal its higher purpose. You weren't just placed in that family, you were sent to it as an agent of transformation, as a catalyst for healing, as a mirror reflecting truths they would rather avoid. Your very presence challenged the family status quo, exposed dysfunctions, and questioned toxic traditions. Even without words, your authenticity represented a silent revolution in that closed system. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. Genesis 50:20. These words from Joseph to the brothers who sold him into slavery now echo in your spirit. The toxic treatment you endured, the cruel words, the punishing silences, the unfair comparisons, all of it is being redirected by the universe to fulfill a greater purpose. The same family that tried to bury you didn't realize you were a seed, destined to bloom in ways they could never imagine. And now, chosen one, we reach the apex of this cosmic revelation. The veil is fully lifted, and the divine mathematics behind the phenomenon of switched identity is finally exposed in its perfect brilliance. This is the moment you realize that what once felt like a painful contradiction was, in fact, a flawless equation calculated by the heavens to manifest your highest purpose. I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction. Isaiah 48:10. This divine declaration reveals a foundational truth. Your toxic family was not the place where your identity was destroyed. It was the very furnace chosen by the divine to forge who you truly are. The precious metal of your true essence required that specific temperature, that specific pressure, that exact chemical composition to become the masterpiece you are becoming. Now observe how your capacity to love transcends all human logic. People who suffer what you've suffered often become walking bitterness, repeating cycles of abuse. But you, in a supernatural way, developed a compassion that defies explanation. You can see beyond toxic behavior and perceive the pain behind it. You can offer others what you never received. This spiritual alchemy, turning poison into medicine, is the unmistakable mark of the true chosen ones. Your oppressive family members are now in absolute awe of the person you've become. They expected you to replicate their patterns, perpetuate their cycles, carry their dysfunction. Instead, they watch, perplexed, as you break generational chains, establish new standards, and become someone they secretly admire, even if they never admit it. The way you love despite the pain, forgive without receiving apologies, prosper despite the curses, it all confirms the supernatural operation of grace in your life. The Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. Romans 8:16. This internal confirmation has always been with you, even in the darkest moments of family rejection. That quiet voice whispering, "You belong to something greater," when everything around you denied your worth. That unexplainable certainty that there was more, something beyond, something transcendent waiting for you. That connection to the divine that no family toxicity could ever corrupt. It was the Spirit's witness confirming your true lineage, not biological but spiritual. Now you understand the genius of the divine plan. If you had been born into a family perfectly aligned with your essence, perfectly welcoming of your light, you would have identified exclusively with that family system. Your identity would have been comfortably fused with your environment, and you would never have been forced to search for your deeper essence. The painful contradiction between who you are and the environment in which you were raised was the necessary trigger to awaken your search for true identity. The universe calculated with mathematical precision this exact degree of misalignment between you and your family was required to catapult you into your higher purpose. Had the misalignment been less, you might have conformed and never reached beyond. Had it been greater, you could have been crushed before finding your path. The precise dosage of adversity was cosmically calibrated for your specific development as a chosen one. Your family wounds are now revealing themselves as portals of light. Every rejection you endured expanded your capacity for inclusion. Every unfair criticism sharpened your discernment. Every attempt at control strengthened your self-determination. Every cruel word refined your compassionate communication. The very experiences that should have made you bitter, closed, and resentful were transmuted by the divine alchemist into tools of healing, connection, and wisdom. He turns a wilderness into pools of water and dry land into water springs. Psalm 107:35. This spiritual ecological miracle is happening in your life right now. The emotional desert of your childhood is turning into an oasis that nourishes not only you, but all who come into contact with you. The barrenness of your family relationships is being converted into springs of wisdom that refresh thirsty souls seeking healing. Your living testimony is becoming a wellspring for other chosen ones still struggling to understand their path. Your family oppressors now face their own identity crisis. The family member they tried to diminish is now exalted. The voice they tried to silence is now amplified. The spirit they tried to break is now stronger than ever. Some will react with increased hostility, a desperate attempt to maintain control. Others will feel an inexplicable attraction to who you've become, an unconscious recognition of the truth you now embody. And still others will attempt to claim credit for the extraordinary person you are, a futile effort to associate themselves with your rising light. The phenomenon of switched identity now reveals its ultimate purpose. You weren't just placed in that family, you were sent to it. as an agent of possibility, as a catalyst for transformation, as a mirror reflecting truths they'd rather avoid. Your ability to break generational patterns, to choose love over retaliation, to establish boundaries without building walls, all of it offers your family system an opportunity for evolution that would not have existed without your presence. Even if they never acknowledge it, you have planted seeds of transformation that will continue to grow long after your time with them. I will bless you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Genesis 12:2-3. This ancestral promise is now manifesting in your life. The very family that was the source of so much pain is becoming the launchpad of your mission of healing. Your experience of transcending family toxicity has equipped you with wisdom, compassion, and discernment no formal training could ever offer. You can now instantly recognize the dysfunctional patterns that keep others bound and offer them a path to freedom. The stars celebrate your journey, chosen one. The constellations realign in honor of your perseverance. The spiritual dimensions resonate with the sound of your true identity, finally emerging in fullness. The phenomenon of switched identity completes its divine purpose in your life. You didn't just survive the family misalignment, you were completely transformed by it. What your oppressors meant for destruction, the universe redirected for glory. Chosen one, now behold the full panorama of your journey. The divine mathematics behind the phenomenon of switched identity is revealed in perfect symmetry. You were not abandoned in a toxic family. You were strategically positioned as light in the midst of darkness, as water in the desert, as a dissonant note in a monotonous symphony desperately in need of evolution. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Isaiah 55:8-9. This truth is made manifest in the apparent contradiction of your family existence. What seemed like a cruel mistake now reveals itself as a heavenly strategy executed with absolute precision. You've arrived at a crucial point of consolidation, where the painful fragments of your family history now join together to form a mosaic of extraordinary meaning. Every rejection, every invalidation, every unfair criticism, every attempt to extinguish your essence, all of it was transformed into steps on the ladder that led you to your true identity. The gold of your authenticity was refined in the fire of family adversity. This is a moment of sacred integration, where you realize you don't need to deny or reject your family's story to embrace your true identity. In the divine economy, even the most toxic experiences are redeemed and woven into the fabric of your destiny. The scars you carry are not marks of shame, but badges of honor that testify to your courage to remain faithful to your essence even when everything around you conspired to deny it. You now face a sacred choice. How will you relate to your biological family from this point forward? Some chosen ones are called to maintain physical distance as an act of self-preservation, establishing clear boundaries that protect their integrity. Others are summoned to remain present, offering the possibility of transformation through example, not preaching. Some are led to confront painful truths with compassion, catalyzing healing for the entire family system. There is no single correct answer, only the one that resonates with your true identity and purpose. Behold, I will do a new thing, now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? Isaiah 43:19. The universe is now using your story of switched identity to write a new chapter, not just for you, but for all who will find healing through your testimony. The very experience that could have embittered you forever is now becoming the source of your greatest contribution to the world. Your ability to remain whole in a family environment that constantly denied your truth is a supernatural demonstration of spiritual resilience. Your ability to maintain compassion even for those who hurt you is a manifestation of divine grace. Your determination to break generational cycles of dysfunction is a revolutionary act of spiritual courage. These qualities didn't emerge despite your toxic family. They were forged precisely because of it. Now look around and see how the phenomenon of switched identity has expanded your horizons far beyond what would have been possible if you had fit neatly into your family system. You've developed an extraordinary capacity to connect with different kinds of people, to navigate diverse environments, to adapt to new circumstances, precisely because you never felt fully at home within your own family. This adaptive flexibility is now one of your greatest strengths. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. This absolute truth now radiates through your life. The family misalignment that caused you so much pain is now being redeemed as the exact catalyst needed to launch you into your highest destiny. What once seemed like a curse is now revealed as a foundational part of your greatest blessing. Your true identity was never truly lost. It was merely hidden, protected, waiting for the right moment to emerge in fullness. Like a seed that requires the darkness of the soil to germinate, your divine essence used the family darkness as the necessary condition for your blooming. Now you emerge not only intact, but magnified, expanded, empowered by what was meant to destroy you. Heaven celebrates your journey, chosen one. The spiritual dimensions revere your perseverance. The angelic hierarchies honor your faithfulness to your inner truth, even when everything around you denied it. What looked like a family tragedy to human eyes was always recognized by spiritual eyes as a training ground for a warrior of light, an agent of transformation, a carrier of the new consciousness being born on this planet. This is your harvest season, the moment when the fruits of the switched identity fully ripen in your life. The very traits that once made you a stranger in your biological family, your sensitivity, your intuition, your emotional depth, your spiritual perception, are now recognized as extraordinary gifts the world desperately needs. What was rejected by the builders has become the cornerstone. Your heart now expands with a compassion that transcends ordinary human understanding, a capacity to love without requiring reciprocity, a wisdom that sees the pain behind toxic behavior, a strength that expresses itself through gentleness. This alchemical transformation, from victim to healer, from rejected to receiver, from wounded to physician, is the final miracle of the switched identity. Chosen one, now carry this knowledge not as a burden, but as a crown. The phenomenon of switched identity is not a sentence, it is a consecration. You were not merely a survivor of a toxic family, you were a divine envoy to that system, fulfilling purposes that transcend your current understanding. And now, in recognizing and embracing your true identity, you set not only yourself free, but also offer liberation to everyone who crosses your path. My dear chosen one, now that this heavenly truth about your switched identity has been revealed to your heart, something extraordinary is unfolding within your spirit. Can you feel it? That weight of years spent trying to fit where you were never meant to belong is finally being lifted from your shoulders. This is not just another message. It is the divine moment in which heaven confirms what your heart has always known. Your difference is not a flaw. It is a celestial design. What will you do with this revelation now? Will you allow it to fade as a passing moment of clarity, or will you transform it into a portal for your true journey of liberation? This knowledge was not revealed to you by accident. Right now, as these words resonate within your being, a sacred decision stands before you. I want to invite you to do something powerful, something that will seal this truth into your spirit in an irreversible way. Go now to the comments of this video and declare, with your own hands, with your own written testimony, the truth that has just been awakened in you. When we write a declaration of faith, something transcendent happens in the spiritual realm. We are signing a divine decree over our own existence. Write in the comments, I recognize my true celestial identity. These 6 words may seem simple, but they represent a revolutionary act of alignment with your highest purpose. As you type this declaration, you are consciously rejecting the limiting definitions your toxic family tried to impose on you. You are breaking invisible chains you may not have even known you were carrying. Each letter you type is a step out of the captivity of borrowed identity and into the freedom of your authentic essence. But don't stop there. If this revelation about switched identity has deeply touched your heart, take a moment to think about how many others, right now, are suffocating in toxic family environments, questioning why they feel like strangers among their own blood, doubting their sanity because they don't fit in where they were supposed to be most embraced. You now hold the power to throw a lifeline to someone drowning in the same turbulent waters you know so well. Share this video immediately. Don't delay this divine act of compassion. You have no idea who in your circle of influence is secretly crying out for this same liberating revelation. When you share this message, you are not just forwarding content, you are becoming an agent of identity liberation in the divine plan. Remember, just as you were strategically placed in your family for a greater purpose, this message can be strategically placed in someone's life through your simple act of sharing. Your decision to send this video may be the exact turning point for a soul standing on the edge of despair, questioning their worth and purpose. And if you felt a deep connection with this revelation about switched identity, I must tell you something important. This is not the only heavenly truth waiting to be restored in your life. There are layers upon layers of revelation waiting to be awakened in your spirit. Subscribe to this channel right now to ensure that these transformative discoveries keep reaching you. Every new subscription is not just a number. It is a spiritual declaration that you are committed to your journey of self-discovery and liberation from the limitations imposed by others. By subscribing, you are saying to the universe and to yourself, I am ready to embrace my true identity, no matter how many layers of family conditioning I need to shed. Your subscription also strengthens this mission to reach other chosen ones who, like you, are awakening to their true essence in the midst of hostile environments. Every new subscriber expands the reach of this liberating message, allowing it to reach more hearts hungry for truth and spiritual validation. Do not underestimate the spiritual power of this simple click. It is part of your alignment with your divine purpose. Many of you are feeling a pull to go further, to actively support the expansion of these transformative revelations. If you feel that calling in your heart, consider becoming a partner in this ministry through a voluntary offering. Every contribution, regardless of the amount, helps sustain the creation of these messages that are breaking generational chains and restoring lost identities. Remember, your offering is not merely financial. It is a seed planted in the fertile soil of collective transformation. It is an investment in the awakening of consciousness and the healing of deep identity wounds that affect millions of chosen ones around the world. Chosen ones, listening to me now, I declare over your lives, the chains of false identity are being broken in this very moment. The veils that once obscured your true nature are being torn apart. What your biological family could never recognize, heaven has always seen with perfect clarity. You are not a mistake. You are a divine strategy in motion. From this day forward, every time the voice of family rejection tries to whisper limitations into your ears, you will have a new inner voice, louder, stronger, that will respond, I recognize my true celestial identity. This will be your declaration against every lie that ever tried to define who you are. And when the fruits of this revelation begin to blossom in your life, when you feel the freedom of being authentically who you were always meant to be, when the toxic patterns start to lose power over you, when your light begins to shine without apology, come back here and share your testimony. Your story of transformation will become the very roadmap another chosen one will need to find their own way back home. May the divine architect who strategically positioned you in your family for a glorious purpose now complete in you the process of identity restoration. May the eyes of your spirit be permanently opened to see your true heavenly inheritance. And may you, as you walk in the fullness of your authentic identity, become a beacon of possibility for every other chosen one who crosses your path. Your true spiritual family is celebrating your return to your original essence in this very moment. Welcome back to your true identity, chosen one of the Most High.